Hey everyone. It has been a hot minute since I have done one of these, but I'm excited to be back. I took a little bit of a break, and you know what? I feel like I just wanted to jump on real quick because for those of y'all that don't know me, my name is Megan Clark, and I on Tuesdays for gosh, at least close to maybe 2 years, I think now, close to 2 years probably, have been going to therapy every Tuesday. And I just got back home not so long ago from said therapy session. And just a little plug in, by the way, if you have not ever tried out therapy, I highly recommend it. To be honest with you, even if there's not something that is specifically troubling you or you need help figuring out, go find a therapist, no matter what that looks like for you. Because I tell y'all what, on a very different side note, because this has nothing to do with what I wanted to talk about today, um, therapy in itself is nice because you have somebody that you can talk to, talk things out with, and talk about pretty much anything under the sun. Does not have to be something, like I said, that's troubling you. But yeah, so part of what I'm wearing today is actually a huge reason of why I wanted to do this recording, and hopefully you can get something out of it. But specifically, I really wanted to talk a little bit today about what it means to say yes to like what makes our heart happy. And this, I feel like, can pertain to almost anybody across the map, whether you're not even really just for Scentsy people in general, because if you didn't know by now on my page, I am an independent Scentsy consultant. But this specific topic, I feel like, can really pertain to just anybody, not just anyone that's in, you know, my business area. But I feel like what's important is to say yes to what makes our heart happy. What does that mean? What I mean by that is, I'm going to take you on a journey to junior high version of Megan. So, my junior high self, I would say that was around about the time that I truly was finding myself and getting to know my niche, like my style, what made me happy, expressing myself. Because I feel like that was kind of the age that well within like my mom and my parents were really just giving me a little bit more room to, I guess, find myself and then just you know dress myself right and figure out my style. But what was interesting is I found that around that time, specifically in junior high, is that even though I was finding my style and finding what made me happy, it just wasn't socially normal. It wasn't acceptable. um I mean, we're talking like puff paint, decorating my denim jeans to, and y'all, one thing I have to say is that I am 34. Okay. So I was not necessarily an 80s baby, but I wouldn't necessarily say a 90s baby. It's kind of in between. That weird mix of anyone else can attest that has born in the late 80s. It's yeah. And so I've always had a sense of like who I am and my style, but during that time, it just wasn't socially acceptable. Not at all like it is now, right? Now it's actually cool. Now it's actually acceptable, to do and be and dress whatever you want. Aesthetically pleasing to you is acceptable. But back then, junior high Megan was not. And that was pretty interesting because I didn't really have anything that I would say like I've never ever been one, even back then, to be like, oh, this is what's popular, this is what everyone else is wearing, this is what's trending. Never been that person. Like if it made me happy, if it was something that I enjoyed wearing, enjoyed doing, it was like, okay, this is what I want, this is who I want to be. But as I found as I got a little bit older, that just wasn't, like I said, acceptable. It made me stand out more. It made me look different. It brought a lot of attention to myself. And when you're at that age, that's not really attention that you're ready and prepared for, right? Like your maturity, or should I say lack of maturity, is just not yet prepared to accept and stand above and be bigger, than what everyone else, and you don't want to stand out. Like it's interesting because as an adult now, I want to stand out. Hello, I want to be bold. I want to be loud. I want to be noticed and recognized and seen and heard, right? But back then, mm-mm, Back then, I was raised to you blend in, you're not, don't be too loud, don't be too emotional, don't anything that was out of the social norm. It's better to fit in, it's better to look like and act like everyone else than it is just to be yourself. So that's where we're at. So what's interesting with me now, through a lot, a lot of process, y'all, a lot of therapy, a lot of self healing within. Um, it has been a journey, but now it's like I am not going to apologize for what I like to wear, what makes me happy. And that's where I'm coming at and wanting to share with you in hopes that, you can get something from this as you're watching this, is that do what makes you happy, do what makes your heart happy. And I'm not talking just clothing alone. Although your girl likes her outfits, likes putting all the things together. Not every I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but as this is with anything, y'all. Anything. Do what makes your heart happy. I had a breakthrough today in therapy, and it was so powerful. I was so emotional over it. And I know that nothing that's ever said or done in my life is just by chance, by accident. There's always a plan behind everything. Okay. And so on the way to my session, I had kind of this thought process because I put this outfit together, right? Y'all, and if y'all can see my shoes right now, my shoes actually match. For once in my life, they match this. That never happens because I'm a mixed print kind of girl, right? So I was just kind of processing this look. I was on the way to my therapy session and I was thinking about what I was wearing, and I was really feeling myself because I was listening to the music that I wanted to listen to. My favorite song came on at the time. Y'all, I was just really having a moment. And it really dawned on me. And I was like, you know what? I have come so far because I realized in that moment that I have spent and wasted so much time and energy, y'all, in my life up until I would say at least a year or two ago, probably at least if I'm being honest, a year ago. And I have spent all that time wasting my time and energy on what others would think about me. Um, as far as my personality, as far as what I like and what I don't like, as far as my verbal communication, as far as what I'm wearing, y'all, everyday things. And I didn't realize that just everyday mundane decisions, I was always like thinking and overthinking, really overthinking what everybody else was going to think, right? Like I was overthinking it. I was worried about like, oh man, if I choose this name, am I going to make this person upset? And y'all, not just like everyday people that I come into contact with, like we're talking family members, we're talking my spouse, my husband, my incredible, amazing hubby. Like, I mean, we're talking people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. Personally, my team, like I was always so hung up on what the next person was going to think, that what I didn't realize was that I didn't take the time to stop and ask myself, well, what do I think? What do I want? And that's where I'm saying the 2023 is the year of me. If you have been following me, if you know me personally, I have said this over and over and over. Like my word of the year is rebuild, and it is the year of me rebuilding myself back up, basically. And this is going to look different for everybody. But I will say what's interesting for me over the last couple of years, at least, I have people come up to me, whether they know me or not, and they're like, "Ooh, girl, ooh, that looks so cute on you. That is so Megan. That is so you." But I could never do that. That's not, I love it, but I just couldn't do it for myself. It doesn't work for me. But here's the thing is that it never worked for me either. Like, if you like it, if you obviously, there's something about whatever I was doing, what I was saying, or the way I was looking that made you want to say that to me, right? And so the way I see it is that if it's pleasing to you, if it's making you happy, you can do it too. You're just not possibly at a place where you feel comfortable enough to do so. And that's where honestly I have such a humbling moment, y'all, where I'll relish in the moment, but I'm very humble because you know what? It takes me back to where I'm like, I have come a long way. I have come a long way. And I'm so honored and I just feel so lucky to be present in the moment with that individual that had that kind of conversation. But at the same time, it makes me really sad when I do hear that from somebody because I realize that they are not yet being the magical word, they're not yet at a place where they're able to feel comfortable enough to do, say, and be exactly who they want and not apologize for it. And I feel like that the timing is different for everyone. I am just so fortunate, lucky that it happened a lot earlier in my life. And at first, like I was talking about today in my therapy session, was that I was actually very sad where I was like, my gosh, if I could just go back to that junior high self and explain to little Megan in junior high that do you, keep being exactly who you are and I'll apologize for it. And I'm like, my gosh, like, where would I be had I had that conversation with my younger self? If I had it someone that advocated for me, that believed in me, that told me do and be and say exactly who you want and not apologize for it. If I had somebody that was standing in my court that was on my level of understanding, that embraced me for everything that I was right back then, where would I be today? Like that in itself, who knows? But what was interesting is that in that moment today in my session, I had a conversation with my therapist and she's like, well, wait a minute, Megan, you're healing within that junior high yourself, your younger self, by doing this and showing up for myself like this and not apologizing for it once. I'm actually legitimately healing within my junior high self and I am aesthetically pleasing my younger self. I just thought that was so cool. I never really thought about it like that. So I'm hoping that your takeaway from this is that whatever it is that makes your heart happy, go for it. Because specifically speaking, if we're talking about my jacket here, this is something that I actually got a couple weeks back at a craft. It was like a vendor fair. It was like a craft market vendor fair. And y'all, if you know me, I'm usually the vendor. I don't ever get to shop. So I was very excited to be able to go to this place. And we were walking around and I actually saw this little number and my eyes. Like I wish I could have actually been in front of me seeing my reaction because I know my eyes popped. Okay, y'all. And my heart smiled, like I was saying earlier, whatever makes your heart happy, right? Whatever makes your heart smile. And I am very impulsive when it comes to all things colorful, all things neon, glitter. So I was like, I'm going to do a full circle. One of my old friends from back in the day taught me this. She was like, do a full circle, evaluate what it is that you really want, narrow it down, and then go get it. So that's how I am now, with anything in my life is like, if I keep thinking about it, it's meant to be for me. So I did the full circle and I couldn't stop thinking about this jacket, y'all. So we went around and I happened to see that there were two other colors just like this one, but the other colors were more muted, neutral, earth tony, right? And that was a more practical choice. That was something that my thoughts of my head space was like, get one of those. They'll go with everything. It'll match everything. It blends in. It's neutral. It's fine. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it because myself was like, do this. Get this one. This one made my heart smile. This one made me happy because those other colors were a symbolism of who I used to be and who I don't want to be anymore. I want to be this person. I want to be this person that stands out in a crowd that is bold. Now, that's not to say that I'm like this all the time, because again, if you know me personally, I'm not always turned on all the time. Like my mindset, my personality, I can turn it on and turn it off. And a lot of times, because of the line of work that I'm in, it's turned on a lot, especially because I do a lot of vendor events, right? So then I do find that when I come home at the end of the day from said event, that I just need to decompress and I need to spend some time by myself. So I have learned there are moments again where I'm saying yes to myself and doing what makes my heart happy. And sometimes that may be working in my Bible study. Other times that could be reading whatever it is, whatever book that we chose in book club for the month. That could be spending some time just listening to one of my favorite playlists that I put together on Spotify, things like that. That is pleasing to me and it's going to make my heart happy. It looks different all the time. It's not always going to be the same thing, right? But because of that, again, I'm creating self-awareness, self-healing within. And with that being said, I'm able to make the decisions of the things that I like in my life that's going to make me happy, not to please others, not to socially fit in with everyone else, not to be, I don't want to be a copycat, right? Like, I know I've heard that time and time again. You've probably heard that as well. I don't want to be a copycat version of somebody else. I want to be authentically, unapologetically me, because there's only one version of myself, so why wouldn't I want to be authentic and true to that person, right? And that's going to look different for everybody. So that's my 2 cents. I hope you guys have an incredible Tuesday. We'll just call this Try It Tuesday. Try one thing this week that's going to make your heart happy. And if you follow me through social media, message me and let me know what it is that you chose to do. Feel free to reach out to me and say hello, say hey. But I want to hear from y'all. So if you catch this video by chance, by accident, and there's that one thing that you tried this week that made your heart happy, let your girl know. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Bye, guys.